Thanks for coming. It's good to be here. Today I would like to talk about the evolution of the collective governance, where it's going, the trends in it, and some of the things that are being developed. Before we begin, a quick introduction about me and some of the qualifications. I'm Ukrainian born. I grew up in Canada when my family moved when I was a teenager. And I was interested in computers since a very early age. You know, started with computer games, but then I discovered programming languages, which was yet another game, and a bit more complex and more interesting. So I started coding early. It was a really fun thing to do. But being interested in various other topics, just being out of curiosity, I was exploring other things, and at around the age of 16 or 17, I got interested in philosophy and psychology, and I briefly contemplated philosophy as a life path. Also applied for psychology at university, but I couldn't quite figure out what to do with it as a profession. So I decided to stick with computer science instead. And the popular thing at that time to do was to go work at a bank or a big company like IBM, and I couldn't really see myself doing something like that. So to make money, I kind of started running internet companies. And over the years, I was involved in a number of fairly large-scale projects, millions of users, global audiences, and so on. And the biggest ones to date that I actually started and built was 500px, which is the photo sharing and photo distribution space for the highest quality photography. And to date, this remains the largest library of highest quality photos online, rivaling behemoths like Getty and Shutterstock and so on. And we've done it with an application of a number of things that are now collectively called AI, so machine learning, statistical analysis, and recommendation engines and so on. And as the company grew, it started accumulating various investments, lots of money actually coming from outside investors, different board members and so on. And this created a number of problems, which led to me eventually being fired from the company that I started. So that was a hard pill to swallow, and it took some time to digest. And that gave me time to think about what I should be doing next, how do I apply my time, and so on. So that was a time where I could travel a little bit, see what people are doing, work with some early stage companies, and really find a way to affect the world at large. And it culminated in a trip to India last year, at the time where India had one of the worst environmental crises. The air quality in India was 50 times worse than Beijing. You probably heard Beijing have poor quality air. India was 50 times worse than that at that time. In fact, the first several days, just breathing the air, I felt sort of drunk. Then my body adjusted to it. I could no longer feel it. But that got me thinking about ways, it wasn't so much about me anymore, and it sort of brought this point home that it's not about what I want to do, but what I should do. How should I apply the time to help the people with the things that I know I could do? I was interested in building software and all these things that fascinated me. It was, the biggest one was AI. So, is there a way to apply this sort of knowledge and expertise to solving some of the problems? So I started asking the questions of, why do we live the way we live, and can we do any better? And usually, when we think about the bright future, it looks something like the picture on the left: green cities, clean air, everybody's happy, there's no conflict, people are just creative. Whereas reality, we live more like a world like this. And even in the highly developed metropolitan areas like Berlin, for example, there's still problems like depression, anxiety, sort of stress and the pressure of the modern life. So why is that? What's the better way? Can we coexist in a better way? And I thought yes we could, and I thought that maybe applying the technology with sort of the vision where we want to move could get us to a better way. And the inspiration, actually, how to do it, came from usually it comes from unexpected sources, in a dream or an apple falling in your head or something like that. For me, it came from a computer game, and the setting of the computer game was in the future, in the galaxies, populated by multiple species, and there's a synthetic race in the galaxy that operates sort of independently from everyone else. It's an AI. When encountered the first time, during the interview, they actually explain how they govern themselves. Right? So I'll show you a short video of the snippet from that game to illustrate the idea.
Do Geth have a government?
Not as you understand. We are all Geth. We build consensus.
Most governments do.
Organic governments impose consensus from a single point of view in autocracies by codifying the most broadly acceptable average of views in democracies.
So what makes the Geth different?
Data is shared between Geth. All viewpoints are considered. Consensus is achieved as data is disseminated.
That must take a long time.
It would for organics. We communicate at the speed of light.
So that's a cool idea. How do you go about building something like that? The long chain of thought of how do you do this led me to a small country in the northern Europe, Estonia. And why Estonia? At the first glance, the country is unremarkable. It's fairly small. It doesn't have any sort of significant natural resources and whatnot. But if you look deeper, this is the most digitally advanced society in the world. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, the country heavily invested in their digital infrastructure. And for the last 15 years, they've been actually running online. Every citizen of Estonia, every resident of Estonia, has a digital ID, a card, that provides two-factor authentication that gives you access to all the services available to all the citizens. Most things are available online. Most things you can do online. There's an ID that somebody holds up. There are three things you cannot do online. You cannot transact property, and you cannot get married, and you cannot get divorced. And this is done. The rest, 3,000 plus services are available online. You can name your children when they're born purely online. You can vote. You can buy a car. You can apply for pension. Everything else. So that was cool. And actually, as I discovered this, I started looking further. The country 2 years ago extended this idea to allow access to all the digital services that all the citizens of Estonia enjoyed for years to be available to everyone else in the world. So now everybody using E-Residency can become a digital resident of Estonia. It's a fairly simple process to apply, and that gives you a very strong digital ID verified by the government, is actually issued by the government. That gives you the digital signature, so you can access a subset of the services available in Estonia, and actually outside of Estonia as well, so in all the other Baltic countries, and most recently in the Netherlands. And one of the very strong use cases is that it gives you access to the business environment in Europe. So anybody in the world, provided they don't have any criminal background and they're approved as being any resident, can start a company, open a bank account, and start doing business globally with everyone else in the world, all from the comfort of their home. They don't have to come to Estonia if they don't want to. They could, but they can do it all online. So when I saw that, I thought, this is it. This is the platform where we could probably build that idea that came to me. And it looked like a great promise. So I knew I had to be a part of that. So I moved to Estonia recently and joined E-Residency as the chief of growth. And on that platform, this excites me a lot, because on that platform, we can actually build, we can actually identify everybody who's a participant, and we can build a system that considers everybody's input. And with the help of modern technologies, can model the desirable outcomes based on the perspectives of everybody. So with the application of AI and what we collectively call AI, the machine learning techniques, the statistical analysis, image recognition, and so on, we can start building a society that's inclusive, that doesn't think and doesn't act and work in terms of separation and opposition, but actually works as a union. We don't work as a union, but we should, because we live on this enclosed system, and for the longest time, we couldn't really perceive the limits of the system. But our home is not our country. We should stop thinking of our home as our country. Our home is the earth. And we're pushing the limits of our home, but we should probably develop better systems that show us that the limits are there and how to avoid a hard crash. So that's why I'm incredibly excited about this. And this is what I decided to dedicate my time to building. And I hope you will also join at some point. And with that, thank you.
You want to take 2 questions? Any questions in the audience? You get to hold the box, you got to talk into the box. Ooh, sorry.
Is this connected to the BitNation project, and are you using blockchain as part of the undergirding for this whole thing?
This isn't connected specifically to BitNation. Yes, we're using blockchain to develop that. Estonia recently adopted this direction of a friendly environment to the blockchain and cryptocurrency businesses in general, blockchain in general and cryptocurrency specifically. This particular thing is not directly related to BitNation, but it uses similar technologies.
Can you throw the box over there? There we go.
Hey, this is Florian. So practically speaking, can I register and run my business from Estonia from tomorrow?
Yes, you can. Not from tomorrow, because it will take some time to actually verify your ID and issue the card. I can show you. Maybe you can see it from here, but the card looks like this. So there was somebody from Estonia. So this is the card that E-Residents get. This usually, the application goes to the police department of Estonia, and they say it takes about a month, or up to a month. I got mine in 4 days. And then it's issued to the pickup location, which could be any embassy around the world. So for example, if you live in Germany, you can pick it up in Germany. Or you can go to Tallinn and pick it up there. And with that, it takes about an hour to open a company. And if you know what you're doing, it takes about 10 minutes to actually fill out the application. So yes, once you have the card, you can open the business the same day.
Sounds like a dream to everyone who has to deal with any government kind of thing.
Yes, I myself was very pleasantly surprised, and I come from Canada, and Canada has a fairly advanced government systems and some of the digital infrastructure as well, but not like Estonia. I haven't seen anything like Estonia anywhere else.
And is it also connected to any kind of visa thing? So will you have some kind of a virtual citizenship with Estonia, also as someone who is outside of Europe?
So currently, this isn't a citizenship or tax residency. This gives you access to the digital services, but it doesn't imply any sort of visa or citizenship in the country. But we're looking at things like that. You know, what would it mean to extend this to be a country as a service? You know, what other things could we provide? And it's not so relevant for the Europeans because it's a free travel zone, but for some of the other nationals, I think it's a relevant question. So, you know, we're looking in that direction.
Yeah, because I'm working with a lot of people who, for example, want to apply for a freelance visa in Germany, and this could be maybe something like an onboarding. So if you have your virtual business and you do well for whatever 1 or 2 years, then you maybe have some chance to apply for something like this. Or
yeah, there are several initiatives actually called Work in Estonia, and there's a Startup Estonia that helps you get a visa if you, for example, start a company through the E-Residency and then you actually want to relocate there. There are government departments that help you do that.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. A huge round of applause for Oleg.
Thank you.